people who committed the worst crimes, worst offences, would be sent in here, and they were basically left in here to die. And you think, you know, it's not really that big a place, and there is a way in and there is a way out. It's not really a place that suggests that it's kind of a large prison where you disappear, get lost, and that's it, that's the end of your life. And as always, these people tend to do these things and take them literally. And for me, I thought, well, usually when people in the church looked at this realistically and they took it literally, the whole death symbolism around the myths of sacred places is really to do with the death of the ego. And I began to do a bit of research on this building. And it turns out that when you look at the whole of Oxkintok from the air, the building is in the west quadrant, and the west is always the association with the spirit world. That's when you always go and cross to the island in the west, the metaphoric island in the west, to connect with the spirit world. And then when you come back, you come up and rise in the east. You are reborn and you are healed. That's why all the temples associated with healing and rebirth are always in the east. You're following the path of the rising sun at the equinox. Well, it turns out that, as you see here, we are in the western part of the temple complex, which is symbolically significant, but also the entrance into the site is also in the west. And as you can see, you have to bend down in humility, just like when you go into the Great Pyramid. The passageways, even though they were built by people who are supposedly 15 feet tall, as they are described at the Temple of Edfu, the passageways are always very low. Even inside the pyramids, the passageways, you have to bend down halfway, because you have to lower yourself beneath your ego to approach the world of the gods. You can't be higher than God. You have to be lower. You have to bend down. So you're approaching through here into its entrance into the Western world. You're going into the world of the other world, and inside there is a labyrinth of tunnels and connections. It's a big mishmash of places. You get immediately lost in the dark. But that tells me a lot, because it says that when the people were describing their last initiation into the rituals of the other world, you literally had to disappear. You actually got lost. Your soul was always guided by two black dogs who are capable of seeing in the dark, while your soul is discombobulated, and it's trying to make its way over a bridge, over a river. Now, that myth exists here in the Maya as well. There's the myth of crossing the other world is always an initiate who takes a dog with him, who can see in the dark, crosses two rivers. For some reason, this is the only place where there's two rivers instead of one. But then once you've crossed that, you can actually see, and you are now in paradise, which brings us back to those, you know, the archway yesterday at Labna, where you see the false door and the cane hut, which is the symbol of paradise. So to me, it told me a lot about the building, that you walk in here in humility in the west, you crossed into the world of the gods, and then you literally imitate the path of the soul as it would take in the journey into the other world. You are confused, you are going from side to side like a labyrinth. You don't know where you are. And surprise, surprise, after a substantial time in here, you would come out on the other side at the exit, which faces the sunrise. And the temple also is perfectly aligned to the sunrise and setting of the equinoxes. So you see how just the story of this priest who said that everybody's coming in here to die, it really was telling you, it was really a metaphor of the flaying of the self, you know, the release of your ego, so you could die, and then you are reborn again in the physical world. The whole building is giving you the idea of what it was really built for. For me, it's one of the most important buildings on this trip, because it so exemplifies the path of the initiate. And it's so rare to find something still in this state. So many of them have disappeared. But here's the funny irony. There's supposed to be an infestation of African bees in there, which is one of the reasons why they won't take you in there. Well, guess what all these chambers used to be called in the ancient era? Yeah. They were all called beehives, and they were designed like beehives. And you've seen this shape in some of the interior chambers that we went to yesterday. That's one reason why the Maya also built with that certain archway, because it resembles a two-dimensional beehive, and which brings up the joke where you have to beehive yourself in temples. I can't do any better than that. Start of the morning.